Hello, everyone, and welcome to South Asian Artists in Conversation with DABB's Suraj Shah. We're going to be chatting about the DABB platform, representation, and the industry in general. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I said, I've been meaning to have you on this platform just to talk about DABB. But yeah, thank you. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. No, thank you for having me. It's a great platform you're on. So yeah, it's good to like collaborate on something. But yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a good day. The sun isn't shining right now, but it will.
Yeah, but it's looking cloudy, and then I think towards the end of the month it's meant to get kind of warmer. So
I
we'll
hope
pray.
so.
I
I hope
hope so.
so.
What a good summer. Um, but yeah, if you could just kind of introduce first of all like who you are and what you do, and then a bit about the DAB platform.
Yeah, so my name's Suraj, and I'm the founder and director of DABB, which stands for Diverse Actors Breaking Barriers. And we're an online platform that help create opportunities for global majority actors. So anything from doing workshops to weekly classes to our DAB Generals Day. We try and create as many opportunities as possible. And we try and spread them out through the country. Only this year we've introduced our like. Actually, I can't tell you what we're about to introduce. I almost
Please.
I almost forgot. But we've introduced like one-to-ones where we do private one-to-one sessions, which are really like cheap to book in. And our DAB Generals Day, which is free to take part. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot about to happen as well, which
Mhm.
hasn't been announced yet. So
Yeah.
um, keep your eyes peeled.
Okay, you're about to say spoiler there, so there's stuff to come. I
Yeah.
was gonna say I'm glad. Well, no, that's all sounds really exciting that you're kind of getting the momentum going and there's more stuff coming up. The platform, was it when was it initially started again?
We started in 2018 or
Okay.
19. I want to say 18. Um, and it was when I did my foundation course at Birmingham School of Acting, and
Mm,
I realized there was like no like hardly any diversity in the school. In a city where where the city was like so vibrant and multicultural, the school just didn't reflect that for me anyway. I started to notice it, and I was just like, there has to be more than this. Like the industry is surely not like that.
mm,
Because at the time I wasn't really like involved in the industry. I didn't know what the industry was like. So I started to do my own research, and I discovered what Twitter was. I started using it. Um,
yeah.
I saw a lot of people talking about it, and I was like, let me just create like an account where like I can just ask questions
Yeah.
anonymously. And so I created it, and I think it was called like BAME from
Oh
me.
yeah.
And we started asking questions, we started provoking conversations. And I'll admit I was quite ruthless with it. I was like,
You've got to be though, you
I
know.
had no fear of anything. And I think that's how people like started to get on like supporting us and following us and stuff. And we started noticing like huge like industry people were connecting with us and wanting to like get more out of us. So one day I was just sat in my bedroom and I tweeted it. I remember tweeting it and I was like, guys, what if we just did like a day where we just performed in front of loads of like agents and casting directors? Like, um, little did I know it would become like this annual thing that we did every year, and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, so that's where it started. I think I answered your question.
No, 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 you did, because I was going to go into like what was the kind of inspiration. But no, you answered that really well. And obviously, before you said it was called Bame Bame Bame, and now it's switched to DAB because I think recently there has been this whole conversation around the idea of the word and the meaning behind it. So the reason for the change was that just because of the conversations and how actually there's a better way to describe us.
Yeah, I think the main thing, obviously, like BAME was like outdated, we couldn't use it, and then we were like, what else can we like call it that also represented what we're doing, and how like best to approach that. And what we realized is really and truly, I think people are just fed up of labels. like being grouped into something. And we were like, well, we're all like actors, we're all from diverse backgrounds, whether that be like from different parts of the country, like our cultures, our religions, our like ethnicities, everything else. And we were like, let's just call it DAB, like diverse actors breaking barriers, because that is exactly what we're doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was like, it was very quick in the way we decided, but we were like, there's no point of like trying to deep it too much. It's a name that represents us, and it was important. And after a little bit of thinking, we just, yeah, came up with DAB.
Yeah, and I think breaking barriers is such a strong name because it's kind of it's empowering, whereas I guess the word BAME does the opposite. And it's really nice that you've gone with that because it's kind of like a way forwards.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also easy to remember, like DAB. Like,
Yeah, it is stands out. No, I think it does for sure. And obviously you mentioned the DAB generals. Um, what would you say have been some of the benefits of the generals, or just I guess the DAB platform in general from when it was started up to now?
I think the only exception we have is that you have to be from a global majority background,
Yeah.
because that was our fight. That is our fight to help create equality and equity in the industry. But other than that, there's no other requirements to take part. You have to be an actor and from the global majority background. Um, and it's free to take part in the DAB Generals Day. And like there are quite a lot of benefits from it. Like you get 10 minutes in the room, you get to perform your material that you choose yourself. So you can choose to showcase like the best of your skill set. Um, and only you know that yourself, so we can't decide for you. You decide, present it to us, and if it's suitable for the auditions, we'll be like, go, yeah, definitely do it. And then you get feedback on the day, you get to chat to the panel, and all at once in that 10 minutes you're performing in front of like 40 to 50 panelists, which are made up of like agents, casting directors, producers, theatre makers, directors, like theatre companies, and anyone who can influence people getting into the industry.
Yeah.
We also had like voiceover agents this year.
Oh,
Anything that really helps the actor. And you get to like really connect on a level that isn't like an audition. Even it's because we used to call it the DAB General Open Auditions, and
yeah.
we realized it's not really an audition. It is just a generals meeting. I don't know if you remember. I mean, I don't think we were around in those times, but like back in the day, people used to have general meetings with casting directors and
Oh,
agents.
yeah.
They used to go for coffee, have a chat with them, do a few scenes, and like that. And I heard about that, and I was like, that's never existed for me. So why don't we just do a day where you can just have that, but with all the people at once? And yeah, we realized it's like this safe environment that you can be yourself, you can explore your like culture, your stories, your material. You can ask any questions you want. They'll even ask questions, even if it's about your spotlight, and you go, guys, is this like up to date? Like, what do you think? So it's a really like useful day. And then once you're part of like our cohort, you become a DAB alumni, and you're always like, we kind of introduced it this year, but like if you're a DAB alumni, you'll be the first to know about any programs that we have. So you'll have exclusive priority access to those. But we also kind of share that with our mailing list. So it's not just exclusive to anyone who's taken part. You just have to join our mailing list as well. But yeah, it's like it's a fun day.
Yeah, so I like how you said it's not just like a standard audition where you obviously you do your monologue or whatever and then you go. So is there kind of like a networking element where the industry professionals have a chance to speak to the actors? And yeah, okay, I think that's really great because it's an additional thing where okay, they've seen you perform and it's just an informal way just to kind of get to know each other. So it's great that you've got that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and like like for example, even if you're not on Spotlight, if you get chosen to take part, you get a free trial membership. So you get 2 months
Yeah.
free. You get to get on. You get
Oh, okay.
we're like authorized to have you go on Spotlight, which is really nice. Like they trust us enough to allow people to get onto Spotlight. And yeah, that is. it's just about creating accessibility in the industry. So that, yeah, it was, yeah, I don't know what my point was, but
No, I think I'm really interested actually, because that's the kind of next question coming up about the alumni. But I guess for anyone who doesn't really know about how the DAB journals work, could you just tell everyone, I guess, for the next one, what the process is to get involved, and then also what your process is in terms of selecting people and then emailing the panel and everything?
yeah, so you can either sign up to our mailing list or like keep your eyes peeled on our social medias. Those are the three areas we update: mailing list and our social medias and our website. Um, and usually we announce it like 2 months before the actual day. And submissions open. You send in a tape, like a monologue, and then you get chosen. You get recalled. And about 70 actors get recalled. We do get quite a lot of submissions. The highest amount so far we've had is like 850.
Oh wow,
And
that's incredible. Wow.
yeah, then only like 70 actors get recalled. And it's not, and I also want to say this, it's not about your talent all the time. It's also about so many other things, like your material that you choose, the style of acting that you're doing, the where you are in your career as well. There's a lot of things that we have to take into consideration other than just your acting.
Mhm.
I would say the first round is mostly about acting, but then we do consider other things. But in the recall stage, after the recall, so in the recall, you submit another tape, and we sometimes ask for a duologue. It just depends what that year requires you to do. Um, and then we choose our 26 actors to take part. And when we choose those actors, we have to create a cohort where it's like, first of all, it's diverse, but it's also like a mixture of like styles of acting. We can't just have a full
Mm.
comedy like showcase. Yeah, there has to be a mixture of like
I guess dramatic stuff and yeah.
comedy, romance, everything else in between. But also like what style of acting you do as well, like who you are as a person. Um, I think people forget like we also ask for introductions, by the way, like tell us a bit about yourself. And I think people forget we 100% use that. It's not just you, and we use that to see what sort of personality you have. If you're someone we can work within the industry, we can put you forward, because you've got to remember our name's on the line. People trust us to bring in the right people
Of
in the
course,
room.
yeah.
If you're someone that is like arrogant and not really nice to work with, chances are you probably won't get through.
Yeah.
And the way it works is like my team like look at the first round, and then I go ahead and look at the final round with my team. So yeah, it's a lot more work in the background than people think, to choose our 26 actors.
I was going to say, especially when you said the initial one could be up to like 800, and it's, watching through everyone's and then having, obviously, it's such a hard decision for you guys as well to have to select, because, like you said, there's so many factors. It's not just based on talent. And I think that will be reassuring for so many actors to hear, especially newer ones, because I think you can get into the mindset of thinking, oh, it's about like my skills and talents. But
Mm.
like you say, it's a whole mix of stuff, and you can't just, it would be boring for yourselves and the panel just to have the same kind of actors. So you do need to kind of mix it up for their benefit. So it's really nice to know that it's just do the best you can, and then it is obviously up to you guys to do the final kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think also sometimes like you've got to remember we're all on social media, we're all in the industry. People talk to us, agents, casting directors, producers, but even like fellow actors talk to us. And you've got to present, like we don't just look at your application, we also do our research behind the scenes of like who you are, because the
Yeah,
thing we want is someone who is like, um how do I explain it, like if you're on social media and you have a negative presence on social media,
yeah,
and like people don't want to work with you, and you're like getting slated on social media, like we take that into consideration, because you've got to be able to work with someone in the room, and then not just the room. Like if a casting director or an agent approaches you, they're going to want to know so much more about you and the background about you. So we kind of do our due diligence beforehand as
yeah.
well. there's so much, yeah, like there's a lot that goes on.
That goes, yeah, because you have to, like you said, you have, because it represents you guys as well, you have to make sure you're putting the right people in front of the panel, and sometimes, yeah, you kind of do have to do background, I guess, checks, and that's probably the wrong word, but just to gauge what kind of person they are. And in terms of the, I think I was looking at you guys obviously post bit by bit who the panel is, which I think it is quite nice to sort of build that up. But I was looking, I was like, it was so mad just seeing how many people want to come, and I think it just shows the need for it, because obviously there's not, I mean, I don't know anything like that. So I think it's great that so many people want to come and watch. So how for you guys has the industry response been for you?
Yeah, the amount of panel, especially this year, because this year we partnered with Spotlight and
Okay.
Southern Playhouse, so we became official partners, which was really nice to have their support and have like the backing of a massive institute like Spotlight and Southern Playhouse. And Southern Playhouse is always they've been there since day one, which is really
Yeah,
nice. Um,
OG.
that was really nice. And then this year we had an outstanding amount of people wanting to come to the showcase. We had a waiting list because we it's not that we couldn't fit everyone in. We have to have a cap at how many people we let in because we want to create a safe environment and we don't want an overcrowded audience
Mhm.
because that's not very nice for the actor. And what we found is when we have too many people in the room, it just becomes tense and it doesn't become this like playful day where it's supposed to be like this casual, playful, like chatty day where like you come
Mm.
like yeah, just do your thing, and if you forget your line, yeah, do it again. It's cool, like it's chill.
Okay, that's really nice. Yeah.
It's so like calm. But the more people we have, the more restricted that becomes because I think everyone just like sees it as a showcase, where
Yeah.
it's not a showcase. It's definitely not a showcase. So we have like a cap of how many people we let in for the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's great actually, because very considerate of you guys to the actors, because again, it's not, you'd have a bigger show if it was a proper theatre show. And I think it makes it a more relaxed environment for the people who are performing. So I think that's great. And also it's great that you've got a waiting list, because again, it shows the demand of people actually wanting to, as opposed to you guys having to continuously reach out, being like, I'll come and see this. So yeah, it definitely shows a need. Um, and in terms of, obviously you mentioned the alumni, I'm really, really excited to get to this, because there seems like there's really good success stories. I think some that you shared is Hannah, Khalid Brown, Ambika Mod. So
Yeah.
how is the kind of success stories been for you guys, and what have people gone on to do from doing the showcase? Sorry, the generals.
Um, yeah, it's every year we find like because we do it like quite a few rounds to get people in. We everyone is like very talented when they get to that stage and they're performing. Like they're really cool, and the panel always love them. So it's really nice to see like how people progress from like some of them like have no agents at all and have no idea how the industry works to becoming like TV stars and like West End leads and stuff. So it's really like it's nice to see their journey. Um,
Mhm.
and sometimes we also have like actors like Ambika. She had already come in with an agent. She already had an agent. Um, so she had already done her work in the background. But this was her chance to get in front of the panel and be in front of like loads of industry people. And what I say is like you never know who's watching what, because like what that casting director might see you and go and tell another casting director to be like, hey, look, I've just seen this girl, this guy like perform, and like he's really cool. Get him into the room for your show. So you never know, and it's just nice seeing like people people do great things, yeah. And there's like a lot more coming up, but sometimes we're just not allowed to say
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
NDAs.
Person is, and I think it's also another way of giving opportunities to actors that I guess maybe the industry aren't giving, because the fact that people have gone in and come out, have got agents and connections, and then have gone on to do jobs. I think it's great that you guys are creating, I guess, a non-standard way, whereas the standard would be, yeah, get an agent, they give you the work, but you guys have given people that work at the end of the day, because they've used your platform to gain those connections. So I think it's we are moving in a direction where people are, I think, coming up with their own ways of creating the work that we want to see.
I will say, like, we never want to take credit for any actors getting the jobs, because it's on their time. It's all because of them. But we just provide like a stepping stone to the right direction. But yeah, like it's nice seeing that.
Yeah, of course, at the end of the day, it's them getting the job, but it's obviously you guys are providing them with those kind of connections. And I think it's nice to see more platforms kind of like these as well, because when I set up this one, it was a similar thing where I was just like looking for, I guess it was during lockdown, looking for networking platforms and kind of Zoom calls, and I didn't see any. So I just thought, yeah, let me put out a tweet or Instagram and just set up like the pages, not knowing what would come from it. And it was just nice to see the amount of people who, I guess, wanted to see what it was about and get involved. So I think you've just got to, I guess, like you said, be ruthless and take the step and see kind of what comes out of it.
Yeah.
And in terms of talking about global majority actors and, you know, diverse actors who are breaking barriers, what would you say is already in place to support us, and what do you think there still needs to be more of within our industry?
I think a lot of castings are becoming more open for people like us. I've started to see a lot of like castings for South Asian people as well, especially because a couple of years ago you would hardly see that. So that's really nice to see. So I think more and more work is being commissioned for people like us and our stories. I think a lot more can happen. For example, if there's no ethnicity attached to it, I would encourage people to see more people from global majority backgrounds, because I think a lot of things that we're finding is that the only castings and auditions we get is like people who are of South Asian backgrounds. But like that's not the only thing about me. Like I can play a boy that just like happens to be South Asian, but is going through life. Nothing about the story is nothing about like an Indian culture or anything like that. It's just you just happen, like a bit like Ambika in One Day, like she just happens to be South Asian. The story isn't about her being South Asian. It's nothing about like an Indian girl like going up to Scotland and all of that stuff. Like it's just she just happens to be South Asian, and they do address that in a respectful way, but they never like make it about that. And I think that's where the future of like how stories are being told should be told, because our stories are important, but that's not the only thing about us, and we can play other things. And I think the way that starts off with is the people at the top, the producers, the people that are making change, Netflix, Amazon, all of these people. I think they need to be more exposed to talent from global majority backgrounds. So when they do think of these roles and these characters, they don't instantly think of like someone who isn't from a global majority. They're open to other ethnicities. I think a really good casting director who is well known for this is, I think, Louisa Kiley in Ireland. And she's, at least this is what I've heard, she's known for bringing in everyone into the room, even if like the audition is for like a white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Like she will bring in like a South Asian girl, a black actress. Like she will bring them in and see them, because if she likes what she sees and she likes the actor and they're playing the role, she will try and convince the producers to take these actors on. I think that's what I've heard.
But I'm sure it is out there anyways. Like people do.
I think a lot of casting directors are starting to do that, where they can do that, where they have permission to do that. So I think that is, if it's not already happening, I think that's a way to push it forward.
I think that kind of goes with the whole, a lot of people have the mindset, and I'm kind of changing that sense where it's like, okay, well, this is how the industry is. And I think that's a very unhealthy kind of approach to take, because it's, that's how it has been for years, but it doesn't mean it has to stay the same way. To the fact that if Louise Kylie's doing that, it's showing that you can make that change by having those conversations and experimenting with kind of different types of actors. And you literally echoed everything I was thinking, because when you mentioned Ambika in One Day, I think I tweeted recently where that is a really, really perfect example, because obviously it's important that our stories, and when I say our stories, where race and ethnicity are important in our history, but it isn't the be all and end all. We need those, but at the same time, we don't have to do characters that are just about race. And I really like that One Day, because I noticed it did address it, but again, it wasn't okay. So she's, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
and
wait, sorry, no, you weren't quiet for 1 second. Okay, I can hear you. Yeah,
I was saying it was subtle, and it was done in a way where they didn't focus on it; they just mentioned it,
yeah,
which is real life. Like my ethnicity, my culture isn't everything about. It's part of my personality, but it isn't everything about me. Like I do live
yeah.
a life where I like go to the market and like buy peaches and stuff, and like have daily problems, and like friendship problems, and then go home. Like yeah,
And exactly, and you can play characters that aren't about that. And in every race, we all have the same kind of problem, so it doesn't always have to be about ethnicity. And what they could have done, and I think a lot of stories have done, they could have gone down the whole route of, if they were going to explore interracial relationships, because I was like, that would have done. But I think it is changing, where it's like, okay, they realize, no, we don't have to do that, we can mention it, but it's not, her brownness isn't everything to her.
yeah,
I always like to say we're like South Asian actors just playing, not playing South Asian actors. Like, but yeah, no, that was really good, and I hope to see more of those kind of things going forwards. And I think, that like she's paved the way now. She's shown that we can do these stories. So hopefully people wake up and we
yeah,
see that.
yeah. And I think even what was that show called? Sex Education. That also like
Mm.
set like made it really cool as well, where it wasn't about ethnicity. It was all like everything was stripped away. It was just kids. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I think it's moving in the right direction, slowly but surely. But I think we just have to be a little bit positive in the way we're thinking and going, look, if people aren't changing it, we're gonna have to do it ourselves.
yeah, we're gonna have to, and we will
Yeah,
eventually. Yeah. And I think you mentioned again, but it needs people obviously behind the scenes, because I think that is a big factor. Um, and for me, I personally don't think it has to be, I guess, someone of the global majority behind the scenes. Obviously, that's helpful, but you can be a Caucasian person, at least as long as you've done the research, you've spoken to people, and you know what you're talking about. It doesn't always have to be a global majority doing that.
I agree.
Just do it and make it authentic, have those conversations, and then it's fine. So I think people can think, oh, well, I can't tell this story because I'm not of that. I'm like, you can just make sure you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think research and education is important. So yeah.
Of course. And to be fair, the next question is quite similar, but um, if there's anything to add, how do you think the industry's changed for global majority actors in recent years, or do you feel like you've kind of covered?
In terms of recent years, I think yeah, the same. And like, uh, I think some of it has gone a little bit backwards, in terms of like pantomimes and stuff like the.
Oh yeah.
But like, I also think sometimes, how do I explain it? I think no, I actually don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to
Yeah. Well,
articulate.
no, I think pantomimes is a really good topic, because in my opinion, like, even the past 2 years, I mean, South Asians in general, or global majority, we are everywhere. Like, especially like commercials, I'm seeing so many of our faces, and we are everywhere. But pantomimes and musical theatre, and theatre to an extent, I personally think some things that need work on, because why are we seeing such a lack of diversity in loads of casting calls, and especially where I'm going to say stuff like Aladdin, where it's, why aren't we playing authentic roles?
Well, I think the real truthful answer to that is since COVID, a lot of people stopped going to the theatre, and a lot of theatres like stopped making money.
Mm.
And in the industry, there aren't that many South Asian actors. And then to top that off, there aren't that many South Asian actors who are available to do these gigs, who are right for the roles, um, who are of a name to sell the tickets. Because what I've noticed is
Okay.
theatre and in pantomimes, they're bringing in stars and celebrities, um, because they can put like people on the seats. They can sell the tickets. So if you notice, a lot of shows recently, they're all like A-list actors or like at least like some sort of celebrity level, where they can sell the seats. So I think that's where the issue, when
Okay.
it's going backwards. I think that's why it's gone backwards, because they're just thinking about money, which is fair, because you have got to think about money to sell the tickets. You don't want to just do a show for the sake of doing a show.
Yeah. And especially because there's obviously kind of this backlog, you have to think of a way to pick it back up and then eventually get to a place where it's okay, we don't really need to do this as much.
Exactly. Um, but I think now that it has done that, we have to just move forward and go, look, that can't keep happening. We have to keep fighting it, because the fight that we had before the pandemic, it was going somewhere and it was happening, change was happening, and then the COVID hit and then it went backwards. Uh,
Yeah.
they went back to safety, um,
Yeah.
which I think in retrospect, that I don't think it's fair, because obviously we're starting to see like producers and people that are making the dishes they think it's unsafe to bring in, like South Asia, not South Asia, but like people of global majority backgrounds, because they're not going to sell tickets. But we will.
Yeah.
um I guess we're not, so like, not, I don't know, we're not celebrities.
Yeah. But I think that is the truth. I mean, there's obviously there are a lot of us, but I guess compared to Caucasian actors, there's obviously a lot less of us. But I think you are, yeah. But people's, I think, success stories are getting bigger, and you are kind of seeing those kind of bigger names as well. So hopefully, we are the ones to be able to kind of sell those tickets as well. And in terms of, I want to sort of bring up the pandemic, because for me, I felt it was a really great way for, obviously it was sad because in terms of the industry it was very kind of shut down, theatre wasn't happening, but in terms of the connection element and casting directors having more time to do one-on-ones for your platform and your own networking, did you feel that you managed to make so many connections with it within that kind of time?
um it's weird, our connections started to grow year on year. So
Yeah. Okay.
there wasn't a specific year where we had an like increase of connections. They just built over time. And when I realized, a lot of casting directors started to tell me, it's like word of mouth. People used to just tell each other, like, have you heard of DABB? Like, they're doing this, this, and this. And then like when I send the invite out, they'll be like, yeah, we heard about DABB. Like last year, this person told me I'd love to get involved. So it's gone bigger and bigger every year, in terms of connections, which is really nice. It's really nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess as more people come and see it, they are going to spread the word, so it can only basically keep kind of growing from there. And is it remember again the generals, is it once a year you put those on?
Right now, it
Oh.
is actually, yeah. We are expanding actually to
Nice.
the rest of the country, to make it more accessible. Um, but for now,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, stay
To
tuned.
to to be
Yeah,
announced.
to be announced, it's up and coming. Great. Yeah, gonna move into just a little bit about like the importance of representation it for all kinds in general. Why do you feel representation is so important?
I think it. I think representation is important because it allows us to tell our stories in ways that haven't been told before. Like, a lot of stories have been told, but I think our stories are just as important, so they need to be told for future generations. I think it also allows, younger people to see themselves on screen. Because when I was growing up, I saw Dev Patel, I think, um,
Mm.
but I didn't really see anyone else that looked like me on screen. So it was like very unrealistic for me to dream and to go, I can achieve that. Whereas like if a lot more people are seen on screen that look like you, it's so much more helpful for the younger people and people who are like starting out. But also, I found that as a South Asian boy, it was very hard to convince my parents that I wanted to do acting in the first place. But I also think it was more of a challenge for them to think that it was realistic because they couldn't see people like me on screen. So they instantly
Yeah.
thought it's probably not possible. Like you,
Yeah, because there's no one else really, I guess doing it or getting the opportunities,
what makes you think you can do it? Like in the most nicest way possible. That's what
that.
probably what they were thinking.
And I understand that from that kind of perspective, like
Yeah,
if that child wanting to do that for their own safety.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's important to just it's important. Representation just is important. I think representation in the right way is important as well. I think a lot of the times we're a checkbox, um,
Mm.
and just there to tick a box or to get funding. Um, but I think, yeah, that shouldn't be the case. I don't know how we challenge that. I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah,
And I think with that sometimes it's a difficult one because sometimes you don't know if it's a checkbox or if it's genuine. And I guess, the only people that know are the ones who are going to be kind of hiring you. And a lot of the time it is, and a lot of the time it isn't. So it is a hard one to navigate, I think. Um, but no, you brought up a really good point as well, because obviously you mentioned when you were younger, the only one you saw was Dev, and I think when I was growing up, I guess people of a similar age was I had a conversation with her in lockdown, but it was MI High, well, her name's Rachel, who played Rose, and then Anjali Mahindra. They were the main ones as a child in stuff that I was watching, but I'm sure because I guess there weren't as many opportunities as there were now. There were loads of us, but it just wasn't, we weren't getting those opportunities. So obviously, you are going to think, oh, well, if no one else is doing it, how can I do it? But I feel like behind the scenes, so many of us were thinking the same thing, but we just didn't have the chance. So I think now that we are seeing, I've also seen that parents are being more open minded about being like, yeah, my child can go into creative industries because so many others have done it, and they've got themselves really good careers.
yeah, and I think that's what I kind of meant earlier in terms of like celebrity level. Like they're only recently we've started to see more South Asian actors beyond that celebrity quotation mark celebrity. I mean like people who are doing like high-end films and like being exposed a lot in cinemas and in screens and on like commercials and like theaters and stuff. Only recently that there is like a lot more people that look like us on screen. Whereas younger, there was just it was very limited. So one could only dream um, of being
Yeah.
on that level. But yeah,
And now it is more realistic, and again, I think we're still seeing stereotypes, but I think we are also moving away, because then people can see us as like not just the nerds or the best friend, or the weird Indian kid you are seeing. Because like, I think Dev Patel, he obviously did Monkey Man recently, and he basically, I read an article where he was saying, and I think it's because Dev is such a good actor, and he's been in already so many things, but still people weren't casting him as this action hero. And he's great for that role. So he was like, let me just do it myself, let me put it on. And I was having a conversation. I think he initially wanted to just put it on Netflix, but I think he didn't think it would be the attraction that it would had it not been on cinema. So I think that's why he went down that route, just so it was more accessible to people coming. So I think that, and also Simone, I read an article, Simone Ashley, I think she was, people asking her, well, why don't you just do Bollywood? And first of all, as a, obviously she's dark skinned, we all know how the Bollywood industry, obviously they prefer fairer skin, so they're not even giving those opportunities. Hollywood and the UK are doing that more. So she was just like, she was British, she was born here, she deserves to see herself represented here. So again, she's now gone and produced something, I think that's coming out in a couple of months, where again it's in a rom-com, and how often do you see South Asian people in rom-coms as leading lady, leading men? So yeah, it's just if you're not seeing it, then just go and do it yourself, get those connections, and that's I think the way we're going to see those kind of stories.
Yeah. It's
Amazing.
really like you're not just reliant on other people to make those choices for you these days. You're starting to see a lot of people produce their own work, um, because if, like you said, if you can't see it, do it yourself.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, of course, yeah. What are some other sort of roles you kind of, I guess, want to see more of for global majority actors that we've not necessarily seen in?
I think we started to see in The Witcher a little bit, but like fantasy. I
Yeah.
see a lot more South Asian people in fantasy and in period dramas. Obviously, Bridgerton, we started to see more. I think Dev was in period drama as well. I can't remember what it was called.
Was it the David Copperfield? Was that the one?
I can't remember what it was
Okay.
called. Um, I remember watching it and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna annoy me. I can't remember. But yeah,
You'll find out as soon as we end this.
yeah, period dramas and fantasy because that's stuff that I really like watching. So yeah, I want to see more.
Yeah, and I think also I think we're seeing more of it as well. But I guess like superheroes, I think
Oh, yes,
there's not many. Obviously, I think like Miss Marvel, and can't think of many others. But I think where again we're superheroes or bad characters as well, that will not portray ethnicity in a bad light, but just being able to play like villains and evil characters, because you're not seeing that. And again, it would give a different perspective to us, and
yeah.
that kind of
See,
layer of, yeah.
what I'm trying to say is, anything that isn't stereotypical South Asian.
Yeah, basically, yeah, yeah. We've had enough of that. Like we're bored of it. The same thing. That's
Exactly. Exactly.
forward. Um, and sort of going back to the DAB platform, I think it's a recent new thing. I think you briefly mentioned with the one-to-one sessions. So for people who don't know much about that, could you just tell us a little bit about what that is and how to get involved?
Yeah, so all of us that hold the one-to-one sessions, we all come from like backgrounds where we've trained at drama school or we've like been in the industry for quite a while. And we all like have a general knowledge of acting, of doing like scene work, text work, accent work and stuff. But individually we offer different things. So I offer like industry chats and like obviously all everything with acting and like self-tape sessions and stuff. Whereas like Shanice would offer more of like an accent, voice work, movement workshop, that kind of vibe. And Sharon does like musical theatre, Lauren does a lot of comedy. So it's individual taste.
Okay, great.
And it's really cheap to book in half an hour, £12.50, and you can book in anytime. It really is a way for like you to book in at any time that fits you, and because
Mhm.
we're actors as well, we can fit it in our own schedule. So there's no like professional time. And we just thought we'd like put them up for anyone who wants them, because I realized a lot of people like do want to book in a last minute like one-to-one for a self-tape session because they need a reader, or they just want someone to work with another direction, like help elevate the scene. um Yesterday I just worked with someone who wanted to do a one-to-one where we just worked with the scene. She recorded it and I just read in, and then I redirected it, and it was really cool because you got a couple of like really cool takes. Because sometimes you just need another eye.
Mhm.
Realized we all had like this knowledge that we wanted to share with people, and a lot of people had like questions about how to do stuff, how to get an agent, how do you approach a casting director. And we're like, you know what, let's just do one-to-ones. Easy and simple, book in and we'll give you our time. um, and it's also another way for us to raise money for making opportunities from government backgrounds, because um, yeah, like that's a way where we can create opportunities, because nothing is free.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's a great way, because it's like you've all got your individual skills that you can help, and then there is the demand for that for people wanting to know more. So it's just like that is the best way to utilize it for people who need that. And I think yeah, it's great that it's flexible and it's quite chill in the sense of you guys can work around when people
Yeah.
obviously have the time. So yeah, if anyone wants to get involved, is the best way just to go onto the website and book onto. Okay, incredible.
To be, I feel like I can say this now. I can say anything. It's my company.
Of
uh,
course, yeah, you have
I'm
it.
about to launch like weekly workshops.
Okay,
Um, we haven't announced it yet, so I guess this is exclusive knowledge.
nice. I'm
Uh,
glad that I get to hear this.
Weekly workshops. It's almost like alternative training where you come in, you get a scene, we work on the scene, we really delve into the text analysis, the subtext, the objectives, everything else, just to get your acting muscles really working. And you get to be in a room with other people. And it's not like anyone and everyone can come, like you have to be selected to come, because we want to try and make sure like we're all on the same level of acting ability, so we're not
Hmm.
wasting time training people, but we're just like really getting into the text and working so you can learn from each other. And that will happen every Sunday at a London venue. But yeah, it's a 3 hour workshop to get involved.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, stay tuned for that, and obviously you'll probably properly announce it on your platform, and
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like lots of people will want to get involved in that. So
hopefully. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited to hear what's to come because it seems like you guys are coming up with quite a few new ideas. So I think it can only go from there. But I'm not going to make you say any more, more on that. Oh, okay, great. Well, we're kind of getting to the end of like this part, I think. Thank you again for being on here and sharing about your platform, obviously from where it started to now and the engagement that it has got from industry professionals. It's really, really great to see the people who have got involved and what they've gained out of it as well. So props to you and the whole team for doing that because it's a lot to do. It is a lot. I can imagine that people don't see that goes on behind the scenes. You just see, So
But it's
that's
fun.
great. Yeah, exactly. It's fun and you guys enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to move on to just a few fun fire round questions just to end this off. Okay. So indoors or outdoors?
Indoors or outdoors?
Just prefer being indoors.
Oh, outdoor.
Yeah,
If the weather's nice,
I was
outdoors.
going to say it depends on the weather.
Nice,
Yeah,
I'll be outdoors all the time. If
yeah,
the weather's cold and miserable, indoors.
indoors. Yeah, nice. Okay. Are you a morning bird or a night owl?
Both.
Both. Yeah.
I love like waking up early, like hitting the gym, doing what I need to do before work and like smashing it out. Or I love a good night out.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. I always feel like I don't know. I'm more of a night owl, but I'm always more creative. I always just get loads of creative ideas at night, whereas some people can't. They have to get it in the morning. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What's your favorite meal?
Oh, oh. Recently, I've started to eat fish.
Okay.
I'm a vegetarian, but only
Oh
recently started to eat. Well, I was a vegetarian, now I'm a
yeah.
pescatarian,
Okay.
and I'm really getting into fish and chips. Like, I
Really
really like
standard.
it. I'm just on this new thing. But my go-to is like Italian. I like Italian.
Yeah. Same. With the would you have curry sauce with fish and chips, or is that?
I've
Is
not
it
had it yet. I've not
I
had
don't
it.
know. Oh. It's more because I studied up in the north and was in Manchester. It's a massive
Oh,
thing
of
up
course,
there. And I really enjoy curry sauce, like saying, yeah, it's on chips. Okay, what is a country on your bucket list?
Albania.
Oh, nice. Do you know, I've seen that it's like so many people have been there really recently.
Yeah,
Um,
it's becoming really popular. But like, I love hiking, and I love like
yeah,
outdoors, like just like mountains and rivers and forests and stuff. And yeah, I would really want to go.
nice. Okay, I asked this to everyone. What is a message you would give to your younger self if they were watching this right now?
Be brave. Don't listen to other people. Just do what you need to do, and things will always work out.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, thank you for being on this platform. There's a few exciting guests to be coming up, so I will announce them when they come. But yeah, thank you so much and excited to see what's to come from you guys. All right, take care. Bye.